Should we put the go on YouTube and find the videos, videos of just people crying, and have that on in the background? We'll have that for a bit. I'm gonna sit and listen to people cry. People. People crying. Here we go. There's nothing of just people, someone just crying. It's all try not to cry. I want people. I was hoping you might just have a sound effect of people crying, and then you could play that in the background. Oh, I forgot what I was doing with the mic in it, where I've got to speak louder into the mic, so I should have been saying it all a bit quieter over there like that, shouldn't I? And then say old people crying, being like that. Fucking just trying to boost me views. What's this here? I've not sent an invite. Excuse me. Apparently it thinks I've sent an invite out to people. I didn't know I had. Don't know if it means people will join. I've got no idea. So what do you reckon to this in the background? Go and find that on YouTube. Go and find that on YouTube. Go and find it on YouTube. Like that. I think it's good not having that microphone. Obviously it's shit, but it gives me this green screen here in the background. So that's good, do you know what I mean? That's useful. Fucking, I might go onto Instagram instead and go live on there. It's saying people are joining through an invite I've shared. I've not shared any invites. It's just doing that on its own, is it? Sending invites to random people. Pretty weird. Terrible thing to be invited to, isn't it? If it's making out that I've invited you personally, being like, you should come and watch my live stream where I'm doing absolutely fuck all. It's nice to be able to just bring your face like this to the screen. I think this is a good way to do live streams, but you never see people doing it, do you? You never see people going live just holding the phone this close to the face, and it's a shame, because I think it's actually quite a funny angle to have the camera at, innit? Like, you're scrolling through and you see someone holding the phone this close to the face. You think to yourself, "Oh, what's up with this guy? This guy must be mental. What's going on here? What's he talking about?" I don't know what I'm talking about. I've not really thought of anything yet. Let's see what's on here. I was trying to get the sound effects of people crying to play in the background of this live stream, but I couldn't find it. But what if, like, let's try and figure out what the point of crying is. Like, when a baby does it, obviously it's to try and get attention, you know, because that's all babies want is attention. Oh, look at me, all that. Because the mum's basically taking all the attention from the child, isn't it, really? When you've got a baby, that's what you're right, Phil. That's what a mum does. A mum takes all the attention away from a child. Everyone should be going, "Oh, look at this kid here, look at this baby," like that. But the mum's like, "Oh no, actually, it was a traumatic birth. It was actually quite tricky pushing it out. Massive, big, fat thing. This, you know, I don't know why it happened. I don't know why I put myself through it. Do you know what I mean?" And then the baby starts crying. She's like, no, pay more attention to me. But then as you get older, like, what really is the point in crying? I don't think it does anything for you. Maybe it cleans your eyes. But why do you have to feel sad to have your eyes cleaned? Why can't you clean your eyes when you're reasonably happy or cheerful? Do you know what I mean? I mean, you can cry with laughter, I suppose, as well. Which I suppose is different to crying just for the sake of crying. But I mean, like, it's weird as well that when people get hurt, they cry. Because it seems silly to me. Imagine, like, you're in a horrific car crash, right? Smash your head off the windscreen and lose an arm somehow. Because maybe the guy you've crashed into just happens to have a chainsaw, and he looks through and sees you're unconscious, and he's like, "You know what, I've always wanted an extra arm. I'm going to nab that arm there. But only from the elbow, and it'll come off easier." So then he takes that off, and then you come round and start crying. Seems mental Do you know what I mean? Do you know? Did you ever think about that? I've never thought about that till now, but it just seems crazy to cry because you've lost an arm in a car crash. Like in the moment, I don't think that'd be my first thought, to be honest. I don't think I'd be thinking, oh, fucking, let's have a quick strike here. I think I'd be screaming. I don't think I'm hard. Do you know what I mean? I'd be screaming. I'd be panicking. I'd be asking for it back as well. I'd be like, yeah, I'll give you. I need that. Can you not give me that back? It would be nice if you could just give me that arm back there. That'd be mint meat. Someone's asking to go live, but I don't like doing that with people because you never know what they're going to say and what they're going to do. Do you know what I mean? And then it doesn't make sense because if you're crying because you're in pain, normally you're in a lot of pain, innit? So if you have just had your arm stolen by like a drunk driver or something, severed off, then what's the point? Because everyone looking knows that you're in pain. No one's looking at someone having their arm hacked off and thinking, fucking hell, I'll have a go at that. I want that done to me. Do you know what I mean? No one's doing that. So like for a point of like a survival point, it don't make any sense. It doesn't make sense to think, oh, you're crying to promote danger, say, oh, there's danger here. You burn your hand, you don't start crying because you've burnt your hand in like hot water or something. You just start fucking going like that with it, like loads in it, for some reason trying to cool it down. You don't cry again. So stub your toe, you don't cry, you go, for fucking, you shout, you let people know there's a thing here that could fucking hurt your toes. If there's other people around, usually though, you stub your toe in the dark, don't you? So who's really around? So most people probably do literally just go, you fucking, because they don't want to wake whoever else is up in the house, or they wake up whoever else is in the house. So I can't really see the point in crying. The crying doesn't really make much sense. Like evolutionarily speaking, where does it come from? What do you do with it? There's not much else it could be for, unless we then release a pheromone, which either used to repel maybe it used to repel some form of predator. Maybe it lured in other predators. Maybe it lured in some form of like Pied Piper creature, and then that Pied Piper had sniffed the tears in the air of people, come in and be like, "Oh, you cried, I'll let you off. I'll let you off because you cried." Do you know what I mean? You're all right, you. But everybody else in the house, because who's not crying and who's looking at you, go, "Will you shut up?" They're the ones then that get. Because if you think about it. Think about when you're at a party or something, right? And then there'll always be a woman crying at a party for whatever reason, and usually it's because they can't handle the drink. Just sweeping statement, I know, but usually at a party, there's a woman crying at some point in the evening. Now she's probably having the time of her life, hammered, but she's ruining everybody else's time, innit, by crying to herself. So there, while she's crying, what's actually happened is maybe she is luring in these like creatures from somewhere else that are attracted to the tears, and then they pat her on the head, maybe prod her a little bit, like psychologically or something, not physically because they can't actually touch it, and then they suck the mood out the room. Everyone else is having a shit time then and miserable because this fucking woman's crying in the corner of the party, whereas she's getting actually quite a lot of relief from this. It's doing her the world of good. But now's not the time or place to be crying at a party. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's other people around, you're ruining their time, making them miserable, bringing down the mood of the room, and then these creatures can suck on that and harvest that. So it makes sense that we may have been farmed so that these sort of creatures can suck the negative, like suck that from us. Do you know what I mean? Then maybe that's what the point of crying is. But I mean, there must be other reasons that we might cry. I mean, I imagine old people cry a lot. People cry through loneliness. And maybe that's just so they can hear something. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you're lonely, you're not going to speak out loud. But if you, like, unless you look like a lunatic, or maybe, going live on TikTok at 10 to 10 at night and talking about crying. But, maybe you don't hear many things out loud. And you're right, Pizzle. And thanks for that gift as well, Kaylee. And then you start crying to yourself, like, like that. And you get to hear a noise and a voice. And then you get addicted to the crying, innit? Maybe. Because you're lonely and you're old. So maybe that's the point of crying, and it fills the time, fills the air, right? Fills the room with noise. I don't know if I'm an acoustic, mate. I've got no idea, Joel. There's a good fucking chance of it, apparently. But I don't see it myself. Trying to figure out why people might cry, innit? We've got babies needing attention because their mum's been stealing all the attention, whinging about her own C-section. I like the idea as well. I have used this bit before in truth seeking, but I do like the idea that one of the biggest problems you could have in a C-section is the baby ends up back in there somehow. Sorry, madam, we don't like that. That's the reason why a doctor might cry, because I imagine he'd lose his job. You could cry because you've lost your job. Do you know what I mean? So then there must be a reason there. I mean, we've invented jobs. We've not evolved to have jobs, but we must have had roles, like evolutionarily speaking. And then we've got that makes you cry, does it, Pizzle? Just looking at him, like I imagine you regret your C-section more than most people that have had C-sections, because you didn't need yours. You just had it so you could like show it off at the swimming pools. All the women in the pools like trying to cover the belly, and you're there going, "Oh, come on, love, look at mine. It's all right. We've all had one here. It's all right." Trying to get in with the single mums. And not that you have to be a single mum to have a C-section. You know, I'm not suggesting that, but I imagine a good portion of them probably have. I imagine it's fair to say a lot more single mums have had C-sections than single fathers. So that's probably fine. Yeah, you got to protect it from skin cancer. Cancer, there's a reason you might cry. But evolutionarily speaking, like why? What's crying going to do for cancer? It's not going to do it any good. It's not going to help it, is it? And then you just start. But you don't think it's a choice? What don't you think's a choice? Crying. Of course, crying's a choice. I think it is. Do you not think? You don't think crying's a choice? It seems like it could be. But I'm trying to work out why people do it, innit? Middleton or Chadderton. Nah, I'm from South Manchester, man. To have a C-section. Well, but Pizzle's a bloke. So if Pizzle had a C-section, it'd purely be out of choice. He's not having one because he needs one. You know what I mean? He's just having it to fit in with all these women he hangs around with. Spends too much time with them, in my opinion. And that might make him cry. Do you know what I mean? Because he's jealous. People could cry out of jealousy. Now, in terms of evolution, I don't get what that's got to do for people if you're crying out of jealousy. Because everyone else is just going to realise, oh, what the fuck are you on about? You know what I mean? Like, why are you crying? Everyone at the swimming pool's had a C-section, so now you and your dad are crying because, your dad and his son, do you know what I mean? They're both crying. Your dad and your brother are crying at the swimming pool because everyone else there's had C-sections and they're jealous. They're jealous of the attention they're getting. And then the mum, the other mum that's not in the pool, she just sat on the side. She starts getting annoyed then because someone else is getting the attention. And then the baby starts crying, all of the babies, because now there's loads of babies because of all the C-sections that have been going on at the swimming baths. And then these kids all start crying, all these babies. Now that starts hurting people's ears, and then they start crying because they're in pain. Do you see what I mean? It just seems a bit mental. Do you know what I mean? It just seems mad to think it. That's we've still not really worked out why people cry. Which is mad really, because I've been speaking for a good 15-20 minutes here, innit? Oh, I wouldn't let that get to your heart, Pizzle, really, if they do. I wouldn't cry over it, There's nothing wrong with having a scar, mate. Nothing wrong with having a scar. Adds a bit of character, doesn't it? And you can look at it and be like, you've cried. I know you've cried. Pointing at the scar, like wherever this scar is. That might be good advice for anybody to do with anyone that sees any scars on someone. See a scar on someone's shin, start poking it, going, you cried. You were in a car crash and then you cried. Mr. Fresh, it'll be when I've made more. It'll be when I've made more pencil cases, mate. Dead simple, that answer. It's not very helpful to you, but I don't really work to a time frame in that way. But I've quite enjoyed this life. What pointed at your scars and said you'd cried? Did he try and work out why you've cried? What's other reasons why people could cry? Other reasons why people could cry mourning. They could cry in the morning, not like, like first thing when they open their eyes. That's a horrific way to wake up. I mean, like when someone they know's died. So they'll cry in the morning, which might be some form of maybe like to commune with the dead or with the spirit realm, which again ties back to like the idea of a woman crying at a party because she's pissed, bringing down the vibe of the gathering, ruining the time for everyone there. And then these creatures being pied piped into the room by the woman crying, who can all the negative, you know, fucking emotions, and they get like all nice full belly, and then they can pat the pissed woman's head. She stops going. That's what that is there. That's the ethereal beings tapping her on the head or trying to shut her up because they've had enough as well. You know, they're full, and now they've got to listen to this woman going on and on. It's just, do you know what I mean? So, what's going on here in the comments? There's actual comments here, man. Fucking hell. Gaming Lakes was in a car crash that morning, and I just said, car crash. That's mint though, isn't it? That's mint. Like, looking back, you must think that's fucking mint. I bet he's a fucking laugh though, him though. I bet he's like mint to be around. Like someone you want to sit next to at work kind of guy. He's going to pass the time for you, isn't he? A rat pencil case probably would ease people's pain. Maybe people cry because they can't get rat pencil cases. Some people have cried over me rat pencil cases. They get very upset about them. The insides, I use a lot of the insides to make other stuff. You know, my favourite animal to make things out of. Rats. Well, I like making stuff out of rats. If you want to know, so look at this video here. It's on YouTube if anyone's interested. I spent the first couple minutes of this live just speaking like that into the microphone, and then as soon as I look away from the microphone, speaking quieter like that, as if the microphone slowly picks up as I'm going towards it. It's not a real microphone. And then I started speaking like this into the mic, just into the screen, just because I thought it'd be fun for people to see a face really close up, where it's sort of off, or if you're scrolling through, you are going to stop because you're going to think, is he zoomed in? But I haven't. Look, if you actually look, my hand is just right in front of my face. But then I thought I was trying to find sound effects on YouTube of people crying. I was going to play it in the background for people. But unfortunately, it's no good for people because there's nothing on there. It's all stuff like, well, try to watch this and try not to cry. And I thought to myself, you know, there's no reason to cry over a video. That's crazy. I think that's like crazy if you're going to watch a YouTube video to make yourself cry. Why do that? You could realistically, if you want to make yourself cry, pain's going to be one of the easiest ways to go. You could get yourself a nice big teaspoon, heavy metal teaspoon, nice fancy one, maybe one you've nicked from an hotel when you were a kid. Turn it upside down so it's, you know, convex and the dome's facing upwards, and just fucking yourself on the bottom of your bollocks. There you go. Tears in your eyes. Do you know what I mean? Done. Still doesn't make sense though as to why you'd cry when you do that. It makes no sense really. Do you know what I mean? It seems like yeah, you've made yourself cry, but does it count? Is that like that laughing yoga? They should do that, mate. Crying, like where everyone just gets in a room and then forces themselves to cry, and everyone's just watching each other, and then you've got some empath in the corner who has to wait, like some weird emotional voyeur, and he sits in the corner watching everybody, you know, sort of like mutilate themselves and each other, and looking at pictures of the dead nan or the dead mum or whatever, and like trying to stroke the face of these pictures and staring at the you know, the scars on the body and things like that. And then he waits till they're all crying, and then he can burst out crying as well. And then some, I don't know, some like hippie lunatic sells that as some form of therapy course for people. That'd be a good shout as well, to be fair. You know, if you could convince a load of people to cry in a room. I don't catch the animals, man. I buy dead ones. I still make the rat people, yeah. I haven't made anything though this year. It's too cold. Probably about mid-March I'll start making again though, because it'll be warm enough. I should probably save this video really. This has been like a mint example really of the sort of thing you would get if you join me Patreon. If you've enjoyed this talk about crying. If you've enjoyed this talk about crying, maybe you'd like the idea of what happens when you tie your mum's dead body to a tree and they'll let foxes eat it. Do you know what I mean? Because for science, you know, that was the one I put out this morning. I don't remember where that went though, to be honest. Oh, it was about the idea of a scientist. That was the idea of that one. An idea for a film I had where a scientist gets annoyed because he's outliving the person that's said they'll leave the body to science, and then he follows them around and tries to do them in various, you know, and funny ways so he can get this body so he can experiment on it. I don't remember what experiment I came up with though. Oh yeah, where have the years gone? And now I'm old. As I said before, loneliness is a good one for crying. That makes people cry. Getting old though, that's like, when do you start? If you're going to start crying because you've gotten old, at what point do you start doing that? Do you know what I mean? And then you're putting it on a bit there, aren't you? Because you're always older. Do you know what I mean? So you should be, maybe you want to start your crying now. Get your crying started now, Pizzle, and really get good at it for when you're older. When you're around 50. See, I don't feel like 50's that far off for me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm 30, innit? So I don't feel like 50's all that long away. Because I can barely remember 20 years ago. I can barely remember 10 years ago. To be honest, I can only really quite well remember maybe the past 6 or 7 years. But that's because I stopped drinking, I think. But I didn't cry, though. I wasn't crying when I stopped drinking, do you know what I mean? Didn't stop drinking because I cried or anything like that. Don't be listening to all these people that have been telling you I cry. There's no point in crying. It's not a real thing. People just do it because they think they have to. Imagine if that's what it was. Everyone's crying because they think someone else is crying. Imagine if it was like yawning. Imagine what the world would be like if crying was like yawning. You know, instead of seeing someone go like that, instead of seeing that, I hope that got at least one of you there. Instead of seeing someone do that and then you start doing it, you see someone like tearing up and start crying, and then you start crying, and then that passes all around the place, and then before you know it, everyone's crying. It'd be good if sneezes were like that as well. It'd also, though, be good if, you know, like with the idea I had before to help someone start crying, of getting them to slap themselves in the bollocks with a tablespoon. That'd be quite good if that caught on, like, yawning as well. So say you're in a bus station and you see some guy drop his keks and then whip out a tablespoon out of his backpack and slap the bottom of his bollock. And then he starts crying, and then everyone around's like, oh fucking hell, I feel a bollock with a slapping with a tablespoon coming on. And then they start slapping the bollocks with a tablespoon as well. Do you know what I mean? And then it just passes around the bus station, and then before you know it, someone on the bus is doing it, and then that's gone past. Everyone's standing up, slapping the bollocks on the bus, and then people are looking in through the windows as they're driving past, and these bus stops that they're stopping at. When then these other people waiting at bus stops, but not for that bus. Say that's the 375, but they're waiting for the 107. And then the 375 goes past with, you know, 8 lads slapping the bollocks with a tablespoon. And then people see that from that bus stop and they do it. And then people in cars having to stop and slam on the brakes with the cars so that they can, like, fucking slap their, like, edge forwards on the seats so the bollocks can angle down, and then get the tablespoon that they've got in the fucking, what's it called, the glove compartment, and they can like that on the bollocks with the tablespoon, and it just fucking takes the whole country by storm. We'd all be doing it. Who's to say that's not what yawning is? It just started off like that, and we're all following on from that first yawn, because for some reason our bodies go, oh, fucking hell, there's a shortness of oxygen here. Not enough oxygen, better steal that oxygen from that guy over there. Well, I thought this might be a nice way to advertise the podcast, you know, to the 6 people that are currently watching. But I might say, like I say, I'll save the video and try and post it somewhere. My phone's gonna die anyway now, so I've used a lot of it up all fucking season a bit. Go and try my podcasts as well. Listen to Pizzle and try the podcasts. Pizzle's the guy in the comments. I'm not Pizzle. World Around You's podcast, The Truth Seeking. I'll see you in a bit. Don't cry.